All right, so we want to rationalize the bottom of this thing. This is the like honest to God calc thing that you do. Okay, this does come up in Calc 1, I promise. So let's learn to do it. It's really not so bad. It is, that said, a real big stumbling point for the Calc 1 students because they're bad at algebra. You guys are good at algebra, right?
Hopefully.
All right. So we want to rationalize. So what do we do?
Multiply by the, what was it? The conjugate.
Okay, we want to multiply by the conjugate,
Top
and that's this bottom bit with the sign in the middle changed, right?
Technically, if you wanted to, but you change the sign on the side instead of sign on the
Yes.
Yeah, just making sure.
It would be less convenient. No, we're not doing that. Okay, so we got this, and then we change things, right? So we need to not change things. So we,
You conjugate on top as well.
yeah, we need to multiply by the conjugate on the top too. This is really a multiplication by one trick, right? If you learn nothing else in math, multiplying by one is super handy. It seems like a really dumb thing to say, but it's the idea behind all the unit conversions. It's also the idea behind a lot of common bottom type things or rationalize the bottom type things. So here we multiplied by 1. Now what? What do we get on the top?
7 times the conjugate.
7 times the thing. Yeah, this is a mess, but this is the price we paid. Right? We got it out of the, or we're going to get it out of the bottom, but it ended up in the top. Okay, how about the bottom? What do I get down there?
Square root of 25x squared.
Plus root 15xy.
Plus root 15xy. Did you spell flow right this time?
15x.
No, I think so. No, yeah, we spelled
Yeah.
we
Yeah,
spelled
both
flow right.
sides. Okay.
I'm learning.
Minus 15 15xy.
Okay, minus root 15xy, and then
Minus root 3y squared.
minus root
9y.
9y squared.
That y, yeah.
Okay, and then what? Yeah, the cross terms cancel. That was the point, right? So these guys drop off. So I'm left with
On the bottom, 5x minus 3y.
5x minus 3y. And on the top, I've got still this stuff. Why am I not worried about absolute values?
Because you read the directions.
No, I didn't do that, point of fact. I probably should have. The directions say assume everything's positive.
I think so.
Yeah.
Okay, but in this problem, I have another reason to assume that everything's positive. What is it? Really, I'm kind of saying, right, there should be these guys here, right?
Because they weren't there in the original thing.
They weren't there in the original thing, but that actually is not quite the problem. Why don't I need them here? Can I fit a negative in this thing anyway? Like if x is negative, does that fit? Okay, see that?
Oh.
I gotta take the square root of x on the top. That doesn't take negatives anyhow. So negatives aren't even allowed anyway. You guys see that?
So then shouldn't you already know that from the original?
Yeah, I knew that in the original problem, but I said these things were the same, right? If I had negatives weren't allowed over there and then negatives were allowed over here, I would have to be worried, or at least like right in the margin. But negatives aren't allowed because they don't make any sense. Does that make sense? Does that follow? That if I change something so that negatives are now allowed on this side,
Yeah.
It makes
really
sense
that's
because it
this,
doesn't.
right? If I've got the square root of x squared, I want to say that this should be x, right?
But it isn't.
It isn't, because this guy doesn't take negative x's, and this one doesn't care. You guys see that? So as functions, these have different domains written this way. You see that this thing's domain is 0 to infinity. This thing's domain,
Negative infinity to infinity?
yeah, is minus infinity to infinity. So really, these aren't the same rule, right? So if I was being honest about this equal sign, I would have to say something like, well, for x is bigger than 0 anyway. You see that? So over here, I'm worried, like maybe I should write here something like, well, for x is bigger than 0 and y is bigger than 0. Or worry about absolute value bars. But I don't have to do either because only positive x's and y's are allowed. You guys cool with that? So I really can straight up drop these guys. Cool? You should worry about these things.
I'm worried now.
Yeah. Okay, so I got this. Am I done?
No.
Yeah.
What else can you do?
Yeah, what else?
Well, if you're really good at rooting numbers into decimals.
Yeah, so you could use a calculator to get an approximation for these two things, right? That's an approximation. Not necessary. With the only thing I can do with equality would be distribute the 7. And
Same thing right
yeah, it's the same thing, and if I want to do some stuff with it, I'm going to have to factor the 7 out later. Cool? So I would call this simplified enough.